You're alright there, folks. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. It's good to see you. Always is. I hope you're doing well. We move into the round of 16 over in Rome. Going to touch on these matches very shortly. You've got 8 of the best. It shouldn't take much time. Before we do, like the video if you would. Get yourself subscribed to the channel if you're not. Appreciate it if you did. We continue to close in on that 1.1k mark. Get yourself involved. I'd love to have you. If you want to support the channel, there's a link in the description, or you can just hit the thanks below the video. Quick shout out to Frank for the $10 on yesterday's video. Appreciate that, mate. Means a lot. You know it does. But first things first, how did we manage in day 6? Did we enjoy the games? Did we win? Did we lose? Did we come close? Share with the group, let me know. As you probably know, I had Thomas Khachanov and Casper Ruud both to win just one set in their matches. I'd love to say it was easy money. Thomas Khachanov definitely made me sweat for that one. If you watch the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But happy days all around. I think an opportunity beckons once again for me today. There is definitely something out there. We'll try and get after it. Hey, why not? So first off, straight off the bat, we've got 2 of the biggest favourites of the day, so these will be really quick. I think you'll agree when I say these sort of pick themselves, you know. But first off, we've got Khachanov, Carlos Alcaraz. You see what I mean? Alcaraz is going to win this one. 100% he's not going to get beat here. 1.1, huge favourite. Played each other 4 times before. Alcaraz has won every one. Not only that, Khachanov has never won a set. Barely come close to winning the set. And they've always usually been around this point in the tournament, 2 round of 16 and 3 quarter-final matchups for these 2. I think both have looked decent. You've got to admit both have looked decent. I mean, Alcaraz has looked as good, exactly as good as what we've expected him to look. Khachanov, you have to admit, although he's got some decent results, I feel like the draw has been slightly favourable for him. Just a little bit. How do you think he holds up against Carlos Alcaraz today? One thing I have noticed, and it's jumping out to me, spread 4.5. I think that's so doable for Alcaraz today. 1.7, a little bit more. I'm almost all the way there on taking that. I think it's as easy as that. I don't think Khachanov gets a tie break out of him. I'll be very surprised if Khachanov takes a set. And even if Alcaraz does win in straight sets, I imagine he's good enough for at least one breaker serve in each of them. There's your 4.5 right there. Any objections with that? Like, I'm not saying Khachanov's been playing that bad, or even Alcaraz's last game against Laszlo Zverev, you know, tiebreaker in the first, and then a 6-2. He does that, don't he? You know, if you poke the beehive in that first set and you piss him off, he just comes back and absolutely thrashes you. So I would have to go with Carlos Alcaraz today, minus that 4.5. I think that might be the first official, straight off the bat. I don't know if it's pinned, it's pinned. If it's not, it's not. But we'll move on to Jack Draper. According to Musetti, odds are identical in this one. So is the spread. I think Jack Draper covers the 4.5 too. I really do. Now, I did warn you. I did warn some people about that Holger Rune match, didn't I? We mentioned Musetti plus that 4.5 was probably the way to go. I didn't think he'd end up beating him outright. But I did say, you know, Holger Rune is just the type of guy that Musetti knows how to beat. He played such a long game. Such a long game. He barely played against Hugo Humbert. 3 sets. 3 sets against Dinky in the first round. Quick one against Humbert in the second. Very long match against Holger Rune. He'll be glad to get the win. I think that would have took quite a lot out of this lad. And coming up against Jack Draper, you need to be at your best. You need to be better than your best. I don't think Musetti gets near him tomorrow. I really don't. Draper, straight set, minus them points. He's looked solid, as he has done all year. You're a fool to go against them, aren't you? You really are, unless it's like super deep in the tournament, final time, semi-finals, then you can do what you want. But I think Draper should be good for a win here. 1.12. I think that speaks volumes. I really do. Solid as anything against Darderi, first time out, 6-1, 6-4, and then equally as solid against Vic Capriva, 6-4, 6-3. Rinse and repeat. I think he gets it done against Corentin Musetti today. Show Holger Rune how we do it. Easy. Nice and easy. So move on to something slightly, I'm not going to say more interesting, but from a betting perspective, I suppose we could say a little bit more interesting. We've got Hubert Hurkacz, Jakub Mensik. Now I can't wait for this one. This was an absolute banger last time out when these played. Started last year, Australian Open, 3-2. That did end up going the way of Hubie in the end. Tiebreaker, 6-1, 7-5, 6-1, 6-3. It was all over the place, but very entertaining, none the least. I thought Hubie looked decent in patches. Today I was very, very concerned in that second set and going into the third, but you know, what happened. I imagine you watch the games, we all watch the matches, don't we? What was it, 6-3 and then 6-1 in the second to Marcus Giron, and then Hubie answered back with a 6-1 of his own. Great stuff, but if Marcus Giron's going to 6-1 you like that is, I say it's concerning. He fucking battered Taylor Fritz, and he had a very, very good go against Hubert Hurkacz today. Fair play to him. Is this as far as Hubert Hurkacz is going to go? Feels weird to say, but this is what we've been reduced to over the past few months with this guy, especially since last year. I just keep waiting for him to spring back into form, and I don't know whether you're going to do it against Mensik. These are the exact same. I've said it a few times before, haven't I? I think Mensik is just a younger version of Hubert Hurkacz, more fit, probably got a few more tools in the bag at this point. They're the same. They're the exact same, aren't they? If you look at them for what they are, these two are just identical. If both of them were to play the best tennis, I couldn't tell you who wins this one. I'd probably side with Hubie, given the experience and whatnot. We all know on his day he is more than capable of beating Jakub Mensik. He has beaten 10 times better players than him in his time. So is he going to be able to find that level today? Although we did beat him at the start of last season, you have to admit a lot has changed in the past year for both of these players. I've seen a lot of improvement out of Jakub Mensik in the past season. Even this season he's been good, hasn't he? He's been so good. 22-9. That's right. 22 wins, 9 losses. That's solid. 9-8 for Hubie. Mensik went 5-2 on the clay. Now he had a close game against Matteo Gigante. Couple of question marks coming into this one against Fabian Madison. Easy as you like. Never in doubt watching that one that Mensik was going to win. I can't help but feel like he gets past Hurkacz. I do. I think it's too soon for me to start believing that Hubie is back to winning ways. 1.4 for Mensik. Now, I don't know what I was expecting as far as a price on this, but I thought it may have been a little bit closer than that. That is somewhat of a surprise to me. Maybe there's your answer right there. He's a little bit more heavily favoured than I probably would have guessed. 1.38, 1.4, really? Maybe that's the way she's going to go. What do you reckon? You tell me. I probably would side with Mensik in this one. I think he should be good for another win. But moving on. We've got... what a day. I'm so grateful that I don't have to work Tuesdays. This is fantastic. I can't wait for this entire day. These are all bangers. Lorenzo Musetti. Daniel Medvedev. I should have mentioned this at the start, but as you probably know already, it's in the pinned comment, but I do still have 2 of those outrights. These still live and these still breathe. I just need Jannik Sinner and Alcaraz both to get to the semis for one, and then Lorenzo to make it to the semis for the third. I would be very, very happy if he can pull that one off. I think he's going to beat Medvedev today, I think he will. Head to head would suggest otherwise. They haven't played each other since 2023. Both of those going the way of Daniel Medvedev. Straight sets on the hard court. Completely different circumstances, are they not? Lorenzo Musetti this year, I think I speak for all of us when I say this is by far the best version of Musetti I've ever seen anyway. I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever seen him play this good. And you can't say he doesn't deserve to be where he is in the rankings at the moment. He's so good. Fantastic coming into this year. He's went 12-3 on the clay, 18-6 overall. Daniel Medvedev's having himself quite a season too as well. Bit of a sleeper one, flying under the radar. He started to scrape it back since we've come onto the hard court. Onto the clay. Pardon me. He looked decent against Cam Norrie. I'll give him that. And he looked decent against Alexei Popyrin. I'll give him that. But neither one of those, I repeat, neither one of those opponents are going to give you half as much trouble as what Musetti's going to give you on the day. In Rome as well, that crowd is going to be packed for this one. You know it. It's all going to be going against Medvedev tomorrow, and we all know what happens when these Russians start getting in their own head. They can't deal with it. They cannot deal with it. Now, this is not about the ability of Medvedev. He's not easy to beat. It will not be easy for Lorenzo Musetti. It's not going to be as easy as just, I'm going to come out here, break him a few times in each, and then it's game over. I think Medvedev is a lot better. Well, we know he's a lot better on the clay than what he lets on. The whole narrative every time is, Medvedev doesn't really suit the clay. He's been better on the clay this season than what he has on the hard court. That's just my opinion. I still think Musetti beats him. I need him to for the outright. But not only that, I think he does anyway. I think all the signs point to Musetti. There's a lot more upside to him on this surface. It will be close, but in 2025, Musetti's proven to us all season that it is not wise to go against this guy. And I feel like with it being this specific spot in the Masters in Rome, it's got to be Musetti, hasn't it? It's got to be Musetti. I know there's a lot of Medvedev fans out there. I'm a Medvedev fan too, and I have been for years, but trying to win some cash here, aren't we? Trying to win some cash, you've got to say it for what it is. I think Musetti's got it. He's 1.5. He's 1.5. If this was on the hard court, you'd never get it at that. Never. It'd be probably the opposite. But that's rather irrelevant. I think Musetti's got more than enough to get past him. If you can beat the likes of Alex de Minaur, Tsitsipas, he's take his set off Alcaraz, I think you can beat Daniel Medvedev. I do. I think Musetti moves better on the clay, which is probably going to be the prime factor in this one, as is the case with most of these Medvedev games. Slow court as well. I think it's Musetti. I think it's Musetti. You can see it, can't you? I hope that one-handed backhand's on point. I really do. It's going to have to be against Medvedev. He's not stupid. He's not stupid. If he senses blood in the water and he starts targeting that, I admit I will be a bit concerned for Musetti, but I believe he's got enough to be able to deal with him. I do. 1.5, 1.56. Are you taking that? Are you taking it? I might take it myself. Like I said, I've still got him on the outright, so I could just sit on that. But we'll wait and see, and we'll move on to we've got Jannik Sinner, Francisco Cerundolo. Be interesting. Be very interesting to see what happens there. Cerundolo beat him last time they played. That was in 2023. Quite some time ago. Now, obviously, a lot has changed for both of these players since then. Jannik Sinner's looked fairly decent since coming back, but you'd have to admit he's had a rather favourable draw. Navone, De Jong. No doubt this will be the biggest test so far in Rome for Jannik Sinner. You think Cerundolo can beat him? I don't know, This isn't 2023 Jannik Sinner, is it? I just think he's too good. He's 1.3. That is an ideal parlay piece. Jannik Sinner on the money line, 1.3. Are we 100% certain he's going to win? No. Because we're never 100% certain about anything. There's no such thing as a lock. Spread's 4.5. Now I know come tomorrow you're gonna wake up and it's just gonna everyone's probably gonna be on Cerundolo one way or another for the set plus the points, and I don't blame you. I couldn't talk you out of that whatsoever. He's been fantastic, not only for this tournament but more so all season. Like I said about Musetti, I don't think it'd be fair to say about Musetti without saying it about Cerundolo. But you tell me. I know we've got one of our Argentinian boys in the chat, haven't we? Pretty much every day. So you tell me, is this the best version of Cerundolo we've ever seen? Because I think it is. I don't think I've ever seen Cerundolo play as good as what he has this season. 18-6 on the clay so far, and there's still some tournaments left. Still some games left to play for him. Safe to say he's a lot more proven on the surface than Jannik Sinner, but Jannik Sinner's just a monster, isn't he? He's just an absolute monster. He went 11-2 last year on the clay. He only got beat by Alcaraz and Felix Auger-Aliassime. Fucking madness, innit? Yeah, that in Madrid, and then Alcaraz beat him in the semi-final in the Roland Garros. I think Jannik Sinner beats him. Don't crucify me. I just do. I think he's got enough to get it done. I think it's just going to be one of them. He's back. We haven't seen him since the Australian Open, which he won, mind you. You know what I mean? Feels like we haven't seen him for so long because it has been quite some time. 9-0 on the season still. He's come back and he's just like, he hasn't looked a step off the pace. He really hasn't. Okay, Navone covered that spread, but it doesn't matter. 6-3, 6-4, easy. Navone's really good on the clay too. De Jong's been pulling off upsets as well. Fucking smoked him. I think he beats Cerundolo. I do. You let me know what you're going for on that. I couldn't talk it off pretty much any side of this. Sinner to win. Cerundolo plus the points, maybe a little over. I don't know. It could be any of them. I know a lot of you like the total games played. So if you've got anything for that, please do. Let me know. Share the group. Don't be shy. But I would expect the Italian, the world number one, and the Italian to get past Cerundolo over in the Rome Masters. Now, if I'm an idiot for thinking that, then so be it. I'm an idiot, but I see only one way. I do. I'd be very shocked. And I'm not taking anything away from Cerundolo because, like I said, he's been unbelievable. But sometimes unbelievable isn't good enough against Jannik Sinner. So it's unfortunate, but there's not much you can do when this guy's about, especially when he's opposite you on the other side of the net. I'd expect him to get that one done 1.3. I might take advantage of that on a nice little parlay. But we'll crack on with it. One sec, we'll crack on in the moment. Let me just. There we go. Where were we? Artifice. Alexander Zverev. Yeah, that's right. We've got this back once again. Fils just beat him in Miami a couple of months ago, remember that? 2-1 on the hard court, Miami. Anyone? Round of 16. Yeah, not only that, you probably knew I was going to mention this one straight off the bat, but Artifice last year, Hamburg in the final. Who remembers? We had that? Buzzing. Very happy. Yeah, head to head, 3-2 to Zverev, so a lot closer than some of you may imagine. Thought Zverev's looked decent. Ugo Carabelli, Vilius Garbus, going back and forth with Garbus in that first set until he ended up bageling them in the second. But once again, favourable draw for Zverev there. Hasn't really been tested. Artifice coming in and just smacking the shit out of Greek sport like that. Very impressive. And then he looked good against Tsitsipas too now. Obviously, a bit of a tougher time. He did drop the first set to Tsitsipas, but he done well to come back and get that one done in the end. He won that 2-1. 6-4 and 6-2 were the sets that he ended up winning. How good's Artifice been? You all laughed at me. The start of the last season when I said Artifice is going to be around the top 20 soon. And look at this now. 14th in the world. I said the same about Draper, and I remember saying about Artifice. And I can't remember who it was. You may know who you are, but someone said, and I quote, "I think you have way too much faith in Artifice." 14th in the world. Have a bowl of that. He's been fantastic this season, has he not? You don't need me to tell you he's got more than enough to beat Zverev. As a matter of fact, I think we could potentially pinpoint the moment in time when it all started to gain speed for ATP, and that was it right there. Beating Zverev in Germany, in his backyard, on the clay, 2-1. I think ever since that, we've seen a solid rise in ATP ever since. I said he beat him on the hard court. I think Artifice is better on the clay than the hard court too. That's not saying Zverev's not, because it's Alexander Zverev. You know, you're going to be in for a rough one taking on Zverev. It's never going to be easy. But he's beatable. He's been fantastic so far as well. 23-8. You know, it's not every day he gives away these games, but you cannot deny the form of Artifice at the moment. I think Artifice is just the type of kid to give Zverev some trouble tomorrow. I do. I really do. It's one thing getting past Hugo Carabelli and then Villius Galvas in straight sets, having your back and forths and that just sort of cruising through. Artifice is going to come to play. He's going to come to play. We know how good and how efficient he's been in these Masters events all season. Do you think he's going to... look, take him for a set. Artifice for a set. I would be shocked. Will I say shocked? I probably wouldn't use that word. I don't think he's going to get beaten straight sets by Zverev. I don't. I think Zverev, although he's won a load of games, we've seen a couple of performances, even ones recently as well. You know, you go back to Munich against like Greek Sport, Davidovich Fokina. He drops sets. He has dips. You know, the levels, they go up and down, as it does with anyone. But I think Artifice playing like this, he'll be more than inclined to take advantage of any dips in concentration that Zverev has. I think it'll be a close game, as it has been pretty much every time. Like I said, they've played each other 5 times before. First time they played in Hamburg, 2023, that was straight sets. Every game since that has been 2-1. Couple of tiebreakers here and there. I think this one is no different. Same applies. Probably taking over. I'd take Artifice for a set. Zverev on the money line there, 1.6. Oh, do not be led astray. Look, if you're taking that, best of luck to you. I wish I was brave enough, because that is very tempting. That's a lovely price. But I think I'd rather roll the dice on Artifice today. That's just me, but you let me know what you feel like on that. And we've got two more, and I will let you go about your business. Got Tommy Paul, Alex de Minaur. I think the Demon's going to beat him. I thought Tommy Paul put in a good performance today against Thomas Machac. Say good performance. Thomas Machac broke himself in that first set. Did anyone watch it? Broke himself in the first set. Just give him it. And then he done the exact same in the second set. Managed to pull it back and then win a tiebreaker. I was very happy with that. But I don't know. Anyone see? I'm pretty sure Tommy Paul had a bandage on his foot and his ankle. Like after a few games, he had a medical timeout. Whipped his shoe off. Took this bandage off his foot. Put his sock back on. I was like, what? I don't know what was going on with that. Is he injured? Is that an injury? I don't think Tommy Paul was injured coming into this, but I don't know. What the fuck do I know? I don't think it's going to be enough. I think what I seen today against Thomas Machac was good. He managed to hold his own. Thomas Machac just fucking, I don't know. He's so good. And he took the set for me, and that's all I needed. So I can't complain. How many chances do you need, bro? How many chances do you need? He just couldn't hold his nerve more so, along with his save. You know, it's a volatile mixture. Can't take nothing away from Tommy Paul. A win is a win. But my point is, I fear that what he had today against Thomas Machac looked fantastic against Batista Agut, as he was always going to. Very tough one. Could have ended up going either way against Machac. I fear it may not be enough against the Demon. They've played each other 5 times. since 2022. Alex de Minaur has won every single one. 5-0 is the head-to-head to the Demon on this. I think he should better. If we were in the States on the hard court, I may give Tommy Paul a bit of a better shout, but with us being on the clay, and with Tommy Paul having bandages on his fucking ankles and all that, I just think Alex de Minaur beats him. I do. He's too much. You are not gonna outpace the Demon. It's very rare that anyone grinds this guy down, especially from a stamina standpoint anyway. This gas tank on this kid, he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop. It's my favourite thing about Alex de Minaur. He is all over that court. Fantastic. He's so nimble, super agile. I think that will play a massive factor in this one. Tommy Paul still got points to defend. Still defending them points. I can't see him getting to the semi-finals this time round, unfortunately. He very well could do. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'd say it's quite the long shot. I can't see him defending all them points. This might be his last chance to do it. I do. It's only going to get harder for him, and that's if he can get past this. Last time he played on the clay was 2022, 7-5, 6-4 to the Demon. Demons went 9-3 on the clay this year. Tommy Paul 6-2. It's a tough one, man. It really is a tough one. Demons won 7 of his last 10. His losses, there's 2 to Musetti and 1 to Alcaraz. There's not a lot you can do about that. You can't really say much. There's no shame in that. If that head-to-head is anything to go off, if history tells us anything, is that Demons just, maybe this is one of them spots. Maybe this is one of them head-to-heads. Yeah, I don't think Tommy Paul has got the legs to hang with Alex de Minaur. I really don't. But we'll see. We'll see. That's just my opinion. Fantastic price for the pair of them there. 1.6 for the Demon. Very tempted. Very, very tempted indeed. And then we'll wrap this shit up with Jaume Munar and Casper Ruud. Fucking Jaume Munar, man. Hey, we had a feeling he beat Sebastian Korda. That's 2 Americans on the bounce now. Fucking destroyed Ben Shelton and then just took out Sebastian Korda there. He'll definitely fancy himself against Casper Ruud. I don't think he's going to beat him. Personally, I don't think Jaume Munar wins this one. I don't. Head-to-head is 5-1 to Casper Ruud. Played each other in Dallas this year. 2-1. Very close game. Tiebreaker in the 3rd set. That went the way of Casper Ruud, sorry. And then he remembers the game in the Australian Open. 3-2. Equally, if not closer. That was the first round as well. Jaume Munar's tricky. He's so tricky. 11-2 on the season for Casper Ruud, as opposed to 5-6 for the Spaniard. Now, considering this is his preferred surface, he ain't been too good. As a matter of fact, he was probably a little bit better on the hard court, which was quite surprising. Casper Ruud now on 23-6 for the year. Yeah, man. He's good, isn't he? He's so good. He's in one hell of form at the moment as well. He's shit hot at the moment. Only lost in the last 10, coming to Holger Rune in the quarterfinals of Barcelona. And there's no shame there. No shame there whatsoever. Because he's won the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fucking yeah. He hasn't lost since, pretty much. And he definitely would have benefited from only having to play that one set against Berrettini today. We said, didn't he, Berrettini had played that doubles game. I weren't so convinced he was going to hold up too good against Casper Ruud, and that's exactly what happened. I just think Casper Ruud's so much better than Jaume Munar. It shouldn't really be a question. However he goes about his business is entirely up to him. I know Jaume Munar's no joke, especially on the clay. But he's been quite hit and miss this season on both all terrain, both surfaces. Thomas Barry's fairer, fine. Coming up against Ben Shelton and slapping him up once again. Maybe that's just what's going to happen. Maybe Shelton can't play against Jaume Munar. I'm willing to accept that if it's the case. and then straight sets against Sebastian Korda, 6-4, 6-2. He's pulling off upsets. A minor upset today against Korda. The odds would suggest it was quite a heavy upset. Well, not a heavy upset. It felt like a heavy upset against Ben Shelton, but the odds would suggest that that was always going to be tough. Casper Ruud is not Sebastian Korda, and Casper Ruud is most certainly not Ben Shelton. What more do you want me to say? If this is going to be the match, the only thing putting you off this one is going to be the same old story. The folks that say and use the fatigue factor. He's played so many games, he's won so many. Can this be the one? You can't just assume that. Look at the form he's in. He's smacking the shit out of everybody. He's just playing 10 times better, so much more consistent, so much more solid than everyone he's coming up against. He's beaten well better players than Jamie Munar in the past few weeks. You'd be a fool to go against Casper Ruud today. But if he does for some reason end up losing, the main reason will be everyone's going to think it's because of the fatigue or this and that, and it won't be anything to do with how good Jamie Munar probably played on the day. That's providing he gets it done. I beg to differ. I don't think he will. I'd love to say I don't think he comes close to Casper Ruud, because on paper he probably shouldn't. But, like I say, man, Munar's tricky. He's very tricky. And this is just one of them spots where he's pulling off upset after upset after upset, and you go, you know what, this is the time. This is the time, prime time for Munar. Big dog, money line, and he'll probably just get slapped up by Casper Ruud. You wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I think he wins. 1.3. I think the bookies thinks he wins as well, so I would be very, very shocked if Casper Ruud did not get past this one. We'll assess the situation with Ruud deeper in the tournament, but he should be good for now. That's going to do us very well then. I'll be saying good night to you folks, yeah? Appreciate you stopping by, taking the time to come and chat. It means a lot to me. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Get yourself involved. Do yourself the favour. Do me the favour, you know. Continue to grow all the time. Very, very pleased with the growth that we've managed to gather over this season. More importantly, we've absolutely fucking smashed it so far. Let's keep going, eh? Let's keep hammering the nail. Let's keep on keeping on, as John Lennon says. Take it easy, yeah? You take care of yourselves. You take care of one another. I'll see you in a bit. Let's go get that cash once again. Anything I'm going for always will be pinned. Get yourself involved. Let me know what you're taking, best bets, all that stuff. Don't be shy. We all like winners, do we not? Of course we do. Right then, folks. Enjoy the tennis, yeah? Let's go get that cash. Enjoy the games today. See you tomorrow.